Now, one thing that I have learned working with developers that use Cloudinary is that our search API is used for so many things, being able to quickly find assets across their entire product environment and being able to then retrieve them and sometimes maybe even deliver them with the way that their website experiences happen to be. Now, one thing we also really deeply care about at Cloudinary is web performance. We want things to be loading quickly, efficiently, and of course, as beautifully as possible. What I'm seeing here now that we're able to take search and bring it to the client side portions of applications, it's really being able to do both of those things, being able to really enhance the search capabilities that come from our search API, but also be able to make sure that things are loading as quickly as possible and really impacting in a good way the overall performance of an app or a website. So Aditya, talk to me more about client-side search.
Yeah, we have several examples of, customers. For example, one of the leading food delivery service wants to embed a search experience where if customer is searching for Mexican food and it's listing all the images of, tacos and Mexican food. And these are typically today the options that Cloudinary offers to perform these kind of search functions is a search API. We have a really robust search API that can allow to do very fine granular search and deliver those kind of search results. But when you're trying to use this in a client-side application, there are some challenges here where the developer pretty much has to build that end-to-end workflow, and Paul will kind of talk a little bit about this in a few moments. But overall, it quite a lot of effort needed to take the search API and use it in a practical application that's for client-side search. And also they have to think about caching and those kind of things because you don't want to be searching server side all the time. That can have performance impact and can slow down your search results as well. So what we're offering here is the ability for developers to build a cacheable search URL, similar to how they're today building that dynamic delivery URL when delivering images or videos. They're creating this search URL using, our simple, just few lines of code. And they also are now able to kind of rely on the Cloudinary's caching mechanism to do a lot of that caching activity. And they're able to kind of configure the time to live, which basically means the time for which the search results would live on your CDN. And so this is a very powerful, it's a very niche use case, but extremely powerful, I think, in terms of usability, because it's saving tons of resources for our customers in using search in client-side kind of applications. It's also speeding up response time for search results. So we're hoping that customers who have this kind of a need will see value in this particular feature.
Absolutely. And as we've pointed out with a few different efforts, when we talked about Google and our search engines, of course, all of these care about core web vitals. And one of the biggest things, of course, is making sure that your page loads as quickly as possible. I'm sure that they take account into some of the things like this. So I think being able to make sure that you have a fast performant website, it's also going to impact a lot of the ways that people find it and the way that people or engines or bots perceive it. So this is wonderful that we've been able to make this type of innovation here. So Paul, I would love to be able to talk more about how this is possible.
Okay, thanks, guys. So yeah, I think this is a great example of how we really help developers in their processes. So, without doing a full lesson on REST APIs, generally speaking, when you're building something, you like Aditya touched on this, you're going to have a client that's making a request through a URL over HTTP, and that's going to hit a server. That server is going to need to do some processing, and that's going to send back a response to the client. Generally speaking, if you want to do any type of optimization handling this, there's usually some middleware you need to write that's going to live in say Express.js or Django or something, that's going to handle that response. Generally, you might need to do some caching of that. I think of an example maybe being a gallery, right? So you have a gallery for a hotel, restaurant, an e-commerce site. That gallery is going to be constantly updating, but you want to make sure that that's loading as fast as possible. You don't want that to be a bottleneck. So generally speaking, you don't want to cache that. There's a lot of work that needs to get done. So what this new functionality allows you to do is essentially come in, again, the documentation that I'm showing, and you would use our search API to define some parameters once, and then essentially generate a URL. That URL can then be taken and then inserted into a static file, like a JavaScript, as part of a JavaScript file. So you don't need to be building this massive middleware in, Python or Node.js or PHP or whatever your language of choice is. You can simply now do it in the static HTML files that you're generating. So I'll demonstrate this as a live example. This is essentially all the dog videos that are on our demo site right now. I wrote this, and I'm not lying. I wrote this in about 5 minutes earlier in the week just to demonstrate this. So generally speaking, what I would have to do is write some type of code in my Python that would reach out to using the Cloudinary API, Search API, pull the stuff down, and then cache it myself, or keep hitting that Cloudinary API every time I want to reload this page. Now I can set up this URL. I can define how long I want this cache to live. Say every hour. That means that if a video is uploaded in the meantime, after an hour when that cache expires, you'll see the new video, and you're not constantly pulling your Cloudinary assets to get the stuff down. It's a lot faster. And as we can see here, if I take a look at the code, all I've had to do to get this page to work is write a really quick jQuery function here that's taking that URL that I generated right here, pasting it in here, and then looping through the results. I'm not going to have to write some middle tier code that's doing this on the back end and then processing it down here. It's really eliminating a step in development. And along with that, it's also giving you the power of caching through the Cloudinary CDN. So this is really a powerful tool that is going to save developers a lot of cycles, and it's going to give you the peace of mind knowing that everything's cached, everything is performant. You don't have to worry about that. It's just set it once, insert it into your code, and you're done.
I love it. And I might ask be a silly question, your fault, but let's say that I upload a brand new video to my product environment, and it's a video, and I've tagged it with dog. Then that means that because of everything that we've set up here, then it would automatically come through to the website at that point. And so as you're pointing out, as new travel images, new things are cycling through, it always is making sure that whatever your team has designated, the website will be able to deliver that. Is that correct?
Exactly. Once that cache is expired, that new video is going to show up, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah. So you get the power of caching, but you always get the power of new too. So there's a lot of wonderful that comes from this overall effort here. This is great.
Exactly.
This is absolutely great. And then, as you also showed, everything with our Search API, and it's important to point out, hopefully it's as clear that our Search API has been around for many years. And this isn't necessarily a new feature of this. Like, it's not where our Search API is being debuted today, but it is where this is a big, major advancement on the overall performance when it comes to delivering things with the Search API. So this is big, big, big for us.
Yeah, just to add to that, the Search API is extremely powerful. It's a great tool. What this is taking one particular use case that would benefit from these features and functionality that's really common to developers, and essentially making it so you have this cacheable URL. The Search API is still amazing. It's very performant, has a lot of things to do, but this is actually taking it a step further and giving that an extra set of performance for this particular use case.